Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to jump right into it, and I'm going to pick up with Pittsfield politics. So, as I've been discussing, and as most of you, if not all of you, already know, this is an election year for the city of Pittsfield, and this year it's our Pittsfield City Council, Pittsfield School Committee, and I believe Michelle Benjamin, the city clerk, is on the ballot. Michelle Benjamin, as the city clerk, is, as far as I know, she's running uncontested. Quite a few of the councilors are running uncontested. We do have some challengers, though, and they're new. So, like Ward 2, Kevin Morandi, after 5 terms, has decided to no longer run. So we have 2 new candidates there, Charles Cronick and Matthew Cudlate. I have spoken to Charles Cronick. He will be coming on either this week or next week. Then you have Ward 4, Chris Connell. After 5 terms, he has decided to not run for re-election. So you have 2 new challengers there, James Conant and Andrew Wren. I haven't been spoken to them yet, but I will be reaching out today. Let's see. I have Ward 3, Nick Kakamo is not running for re-election. I believe he moved. He took a job with another community. It's a shame that he didn't have his heart that much in Pittsfield, but wish him the best of luck wherever he's going to. But you have Kevin Sherman, who's running for Ward 3. Now, Kevin is uncontested, and many of you have mentioned him a few times. Kevin's been on before. Great guy. He is a former city councilor and the former city council president. I like Kevin a lot. I really do. And I spoke to Kevin yesterday through message, and he will be coming on either this week or next week, so I'm excited to have Kevin coming back. Ward 5, Patrick Cavey, the incumbent, is running uncontested. I like Patrick a lot, too. Patrick is, like I said before, out of all the people that I've been speaking to in the wards, Patrick has probably the highest approval rating. He is a perfect example of a hard-working city councilor, and he is. He's feet on the ground and full steam ahead, and Patrick has gotten a lot of things done, and he is incredibly responsive and on top of everything with his constituents. So, but I spoke with Patrick yesterday, and he will be coming on either this week or beginning of next week, and I'll be going through the list and reaching out to everyone. Ward 1, Helen Moon, is not running for re-election, and we have Kenny Warren, a former Pittsfield City Councilor, running in Ward 1. Many of you know Kenny. And then Andrea Wilson. I couldn't even find a Facebook page for Andrea. So I tried to find her. I couldn't find any information. It's weird that you see some candidates, mainly the at-large candidates, you're seeing signs popping up and everything. Ward 1, I haven't seen hardly any activity, even online or anything. So I'm going to try to reach out to them again. I speak to Kenny every now and then. I have a pretty good relationship with him, so I'm going to reach out to him and see if we can get him on. Let's see, those are really the only big ones. Ward 6, Dina Guil-Lampiazzi is running for re-election. She does have a challenger, Ed Carmel. Many of you know him. And it looks like most of the other wards are uncontested. And then, but I will be going through the whole list and reaching out to everyone. So those interviews will be starting this week or the beginning of next week. And then you have your at-large. And the at-large races seem to be the ones that are the most active right now. And we have 4 at-large seats, which our at-large councilors are City Council President Peter Marchetti, City Council Vice President Pete White, Earl Persip, and Yuki Cohen. And then the challengers are Craig Benoit and Karen Kalinowski. And I've done interviews with both challengers and all the incumbents. So the first series of interviews I did they're on the website. It's pittsfieldtonight.com. There's a tab for Know Your Candidates. And those interviews, the first interviews I did a couple months ago are on there. You can check those out. But I'm going to be inviting all of them back. I've spoken to Karen. She's coming back on. And I've spoken to Craig. He's coming back on. And I will reach out to all the incumbents. And I have a really good relationship with Craig Benoit. and Karen Kalinowski. And I have a soft spot for Karen Kalinowski. I can't help it. I was a foster kid in the foster system, and Karen is one of those, she's a foster mom. And I have a special place in my heart for people like that, because if it wasn't for a very special family in Pittsfield that took me in, I don't know what would have happened to me. So I know what kind of person it takes to do that. And that's just how I feel about Karen. I just think she's a great human being. And again, I have a good relationship. Out of the incumbents, I'd say the four incumbents for at-large, Peter Marchetti, Pete White, Earl Persip, and Yuki Cohen, I have the best relationship out of those four, believe it or not, is with Yuki Cohen. I like Yuki a lot. I've disagreed with Yuki many, many times on political issues as far as how she voted, but I've gotten to know Yuki fairly well over the past year, and as a person, I like Yuki. I think she's great, and I'd be honored to call her a friend. You know, so I have a good relationship with her. So I'm assuming no problem getting Yuki on. She's told me that before. And then Pete White. I have a pretty good relationship with Pete White. On a personal level, we have a lot in common, a lot of the same friends. On a political level, I've disagreed with Pete on, a ton of stuff. But on a personal level, I like Pete a lot. And I have no problem with Earl or Peter either. I just don't, personally, I don't know them that well at all. But I'm going to be reaching out to all of them also. So I'm excited about that. So we'll get that ball rolling, and it should get more information out to all you guys in the next few days. You know, and one of the things I talk about all the time is being a public servant, whether you're the mayor, a city councilor or whatever, but especially the mayor. Because I get that a city council position is a part-time position, but I think public service takes a certain person who, whether they have a title or not, whether they're being paid or not, you do what you do for your community because you love your community. I mean, that's why I do what I do. I don't get paid to do any of this, and I work my butt off. And it's not just doing videos. I mean, I'm out there every day. I'm doing something in Pittsfield, whether it's picking up trash, whether it's you know, work I've done with the homeless community, whether it's tons of stuff. And I will continue to do that. And the reason I mention that, I caught on the news last night. They were talking about, it was a story talking about the shortage of school bus drivers nationwide. And we are seeing a large impact on that here. We've seen routes canceled, some things like that. I've gotten a lot of messages, and I've actually seen a couple of the school bus, like the smaller van ones, that have big signs on the back window, now hiring. You know, they're looking for drivers. Well, I believe it was in Minnesota that this story I'm going to mention happened, and many of you might have seen it on Spectrum. The superintendent of schools in this community decided that she felt it was her responsibility, because they had a shortage of school bus drivers. She went, took the studied, took the test, and got her license to drive a school bus. And the superintendent decided she would fill in as a part-time driver when they needed someone to cover a route. And I found that so honorable, and that is a perfect example of what a true public servant is about. You do it for the community. You understand that you're doing this for your community, for those children, for those people who elected you. It's not the other way around. It's not, well, I'm not getting paid for that. That's not part of my job. It's not any of that. And I found that so amazing because the impact of that, and this is what I talk about by lead by example. By her doing that, the buzz in the community that caused, within days, they said, overwhelmingly, all these people in the community started applying and saying they wanted to help. How could they help? How could, you know, ones that already had, that were licensed to drive, and then new people saying, I'll go get my license. And that is a perfect example of how leadership leads. You're supposed to inspire the community. You're supposed to be that friendly face that when someone may disagree with you on something, sit down and talk to them. get to the bottom of it. How can we resolve this? Because you're supposed to have a common goal of improving your community. And I found that so inspiring. I'd like to see maybe if Joe Curtis would be willing to do that here as our superintendent. I think he should. And I'm going to try to reach out to him and see if I can get an interview. I don't know if I can or not. I don't know how that works. I don't know if he'd have to have the mayor's permission or something like that. If that's the case, then no, she would never allow him to talk to me. But I'm certain of that. But I'm not sure if that's how it is or not. So if you haven't seen that story, just Google it. And I believe it was in Minnesota. I'm not positive of that. But if you put superintendent, just Google superintendent gets school bus driver's license. You'll see the whole story. There was a lot of videos and everything on it. Great story. So anyways, all that. So there's going to be a ton coming on this week. Another thing I want to mention just real briefly, well, there's a couple things, but this one is the museum. I've received quite a few messages on the Berkshire Museum, and as many of you know, when I started It's Pittsfield Tonight, that was the first big thing that turned this into what it is. I started covering that because as an artist, that one, it devastated me, just like it devastated the entire art community. Devastated. And I couldn't believe that the mayor was all for that. She supported them deassessing the collection, and I think they sold it for like $53 or $54 million, something like that. They said they had to, so they sold off all our prized pieces in our collection. And to the art community, like myself, who the Berkshire Museum was a special place. Even when I didn't live here and I would come back off the road to visit, the Berkshire Museum was always a place I would go to because the artwork in there was so inspiring as an artist, and to see those original pieces, and it was something very special about home, something you couldn't see anywhere else. And so that was a big deal for me. And the museum has went through all these ups and downs since then. I mean, there was the lawsuit, there was people trying to stop that. Please don't unload our collection, you're going to destroy the museum. They did it anyways. First it was this new vision, and then they scrapped that, and then that director quit immediately. As soon as the sale cleared and they found out, yep, you're getting the $53 million, he bailed, which everyone knew he was gonna, because there was so many rumors about that, like he was even getting a commission, a referral commission from the auction house. There were so many stories floating around of that. But when you're talking $53 million, you know, there's always a chance of something not being on the up and up. But anyway, the Attorney General approved it, everything was cleared legally, they sold it, and so on. Recently, they had gotten another director, and now this director abruptly quit last week or so, a week or two ago. He abruptly quit, he's leaving, or left. And I hate to say this, because even the mayor, when she ran after that, and when the mayor's campaign for re-election came up and she won, I asked a question at one of the debates about selling the art, and she said I supported it then and I support it now. I think it's great for the community. As an artist who, as a kid coming up, you know, I was poor. I wasn't in a situation where I could go to like the Smithsonian or take trips to New York City to go to the big museums. So before, you know, I was going to be a rock star, I wanted to be an artist. I painted and drew, and that's what I did. And I used to take drawing classes at the Berkshire Museum when I was real little. It was very personal for me because there was no other place to have access to that kind of art and to take that from the community. I mean, you robbed generations of it, and you lost the art community. And I don't think they're ever coming back. I really don't. So I don't think for the Berkshire Museum to reestablish themselves, they're going to have to build a whole new base. They want to be like a kids' playhouse aquarium or something, I guess. I don't know. I just don't see, it's going to take a long time. I don't see them ever winning the art community back. They betrayed them. And what artist would ever donate a piece of art again to the Berkshire Museum knowing that they might just need some money and sell it on you? Why would you ever do that? I mean, that made international news when they did that. That's why the director of the Smithsonian begged them not to do it. Begged them. Everyone did. Please don't do this. You're going to set a trend where we're going to start seeing this happening all over the country. They were terrified of them, but they wanted that money, so they did it. And now I think they're going to have a hard time hanging on to a director because they made it about salaries and payroll and having money for this and this. And a museum is just a building that's supposed to house our treasures. And they made it about something else and sold the treasures and made it about the people in the building and jobs. Ridiculous. So I will get back on that a little bit. I know I got a ton of messages on that when he left last week because that is a big one for me. So to the people who sent me those messages, I will be back on that story just to try to see what's going on. But in my personal opinion, I just don't see them ever winning back that art community anytime soon. They're going to have to wait for a new generation. And believe me, they got enough money to sit there now. If they don't squander it, they're sitting on millions and millions of dollars. So anyway, that's that. So I will get on that. And as far as the fall foliage, and before I wrap it up, and I'll do that right now, I was just talking to somebody 2 days ago about how this is going to be one of the worst fall foliage seasons we've ever seen. I've been going through my photos for all the past years, and this year you have like the swamp maples and all the colors around water that have already started to, half of them are dead and gone. And then I saw this article in the Eagle today saying, get ready for spectacular or, you know, vibrant fall foliage. I don't see that. I think this is going to be a horrible one. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not a climatologist or whatever, an arborist. I'm not any of that. But just from my own personal experience, to me, the amount of rain we had is everything's dying early. And it's mainly the trees around water that produce the huge colors, the big bright reds and everything from the maples. And they're, like I said, most of them are already dead. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, that's it for now. So a lot of stuff coming up. Candidates, candidates, candidates. Everyone pay attention. Let's see if we can get a 25% voter turnout. Let's see if we can really make that happen. And so that's it for now. And I'll have another video coming out tomorrow just to update everybody on how many more candidates are coming on. I'll spend this afternoon reaching out to a lot of the other ones. So, like I said, the end of this week, beginning of next week. But again, that's it for now. And everyone have a great day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.